Behavior analyst and founder of Caribbean Behavioral Intervention Services, Patricia Williams, says one of the first steps in understanding a tantrum is looking at the frequency in which it occurs and what happens during the tantrum.
And then, what was the response that you gave the child when the child was having a tantrum? We're in an age of compassionate therapy. That's what we're talking about. So we want to be able to empathize and say, you know what? I can see you're having a hard time. I can see you're tired, and it's okay. But we also want to know that we're not giving attention to our inappropriate behavior that will make that behavior increase.
These mental notes assist in pinning down the problem.
Oh, the teacher called and said that he had a rough day. She didn't sleep the night before. She had a hard time sleeping because they were blasting music next door. We put those things together and we realized, well, this is a behavior that's going to be temporary. We don't really have to pay it, much attention. But then you have those tantrums that come because a child cannot communicate.
In that instance, a child may be sick or have a headache or tummy ache and are not able to effectively let their parent or teacher know what's going on.
I like to ask individuals to consider that if you have a stroke, right, and you are not able to talk, which happens, and you are hungry, how do you communicate? If you point and make noises for what you want and people don't understand you, then your behavior escalates because you have a need that needs to be met. It is the same thing with our young children who cannot talk and cannot communicate appropriately.
In cases where this behavior is linked to neurological development, Mrs. Williams says, don't wait to stimulate.
Everything has to do with the brain, and research shows that the brain can be changed with certain stimulations. So, for example, autism is rooted in the connectivity of the brain. The brain doesn't make the connections it needs to make. Okay, so when you look at autistic brain and a typically developing brain, there are more connections or less connections in an autistic brain than in a typically developing brain.
Parents can do their part to start the stimulation exercise right after birth.
Any parent who has had delivery where the child ends up in the NICU, baby that ends up on oxygen, a baby that is kept in for meningitis, for pneumonia, for any reason at all, whether your doctor tells you or not, a head injury, seizures, you have to stimulate your child even before you get a diagnosis.
Playing, talking, reading, cuddling, and singing helps to jumpstart a child's brain. I'm Mahalia Joseph Wharton, keeping tabs on your inner circle.